Our top story now, and celebrations of culture have taken a sombre turn at the Garma Festival after the death of trailblazing Indigenous musician Archie Roach. Archie's legacy of activism will be felt in discussions today, which are set to focus on health, justice and women's rights. Dan Bourchier is at Garma for us this weekend for Weekend Breakfast. And Dan, my first thought when I read this news of Archie's passing was for those people gathered at Garma Festival and the reaction there. There's been a lot of sombre reflection on his life and his legacy at the Garma Festival.
Yeah, there certainly has, Joe. A very good morning to you from Yolngu country here in Arnhem Land. Last night, as that news started to filter through, there was a great sense of distress, and many people were quite upset at hearing that news that the Gunjamara and Bunjalung senior elder had passed at the age of 66 in a Warrnambool hospital. And then it really turned to a conversation about his legacy and about how music was used as a way to heal, to grapple with those very big challenges of being a member of this stolen generation, ripped away from family, from all that was known to him. And in fact, this is something that Archie Roach reflected on in his biography about those early memories and the impact that they had on him throughout his life. And I just want to acknowledge at this point that we are using the name of Archie Roach and also images and vision and also the music, and that's at the express permission of Archie's family, his two sons, who say that this is part of continuing on his legacy. And I just want to also acknowledge that you might be seeing images of an Aboriginal person who has died in this report, and I just want to give people full disclosure of that. This morning there's been also discussions about the impact that Archie Roach had, and I wanted to bring in Karen Mundine, who's the CEO of Reconciliation Australia, a senior Indigenous leader. Welcome to Weekend Breakfast.
Thank you, Dan.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very numb, very sad. It's such a great loss for us as First Nations people. I mean, Uncle Archie has been such a storyteller, such a songman, and culturally songmen they're not just storytellers. They hold law, they hold our history. And as you were saying there in your opening, this was about healing. It was about his own personal healing. But it was also, as First Nations people, we found comfort in his songs. We found reflection in his songs, our stories. But I think also for the Australian people, he was honoured with the ARIAs, the Hall of Fame. He has had such an impact in the music scene and industry and that cultural arts scene more generally. So I think there'd be very few Australians who wouldn't be feeling quite sad at the moment.
His music also spoke truth to something that happened in Australia, the stolen generation, that for a very long time wasn't talked about, wasn't even acknowledged. He was able to discuss it in a way that was both healing but also truth-telling, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and I would suggest that there would be very few Australians that would know all of those lyrics. I mean, it was a top 10 hit. It was recognised with the ARIAs, but as you say, it told a really sad part of our Australian history, not just for First Nations people, but it told it in such a powerful and compelling way that it touched and resonated people. But through that hurt and pain comes healing. And, you know, Uncle Archie was such a great reconciliation man. He did many events with us. He, through his songs, but also in between his songs, would share his life, share his story, but always talk about the importance of how do we work through this? How do we use these stories, this sadness, to heal us and to come with something positive out of it? And I'd like to think, as his family is giving us permission, that healing and his songs are part of that legacy.
And just for anyone who can hear that performance, there is a bungle coming towards us right now, the Yadaki they're playing as well. But and I just want to make sure that everyone knows that that's happening, and that's all part of the healing, isn't it, Karen? In fact, the last time that I saw Archie was at your event, the Reconciliation Gala, a couple of weeks ago, where he was in a wheelchair on oxygen, but when he sang, it was with such power.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, I feel very privileged that Uncle Archie was at that event with us. We weren't sure that he was going to make it, but as you say, when he took on stage, and once he started to sing, it was full of power, it was full of passion, and I think that is his story and his legacy and what he brings and leaves with us.
And when you talk about legacy and we discuss impact, what do you think is the resounding message from Archie Roach to all Australians when we're having this big discussion right now about voice, Makarrata, truth?
I think it's, there's some symmetry there that we started the morning with the Prime Minister's commitment to a referendum into constitutional reform and change, and then we ended it with the passing of such a songman. I think his message would constantly and always be that we need to be clear of who we are. We are always about fighting for our community and our culture, and it is about love. It is about love of us as people, as humans, and how do we take that and use that to wrap our arms around each other and find this idea of reconciliation.
Oh, Karen, thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it on what I know is a tough night and a tough day today, but thank you so much. We're really grateful for it. It's all hard. Karen Mundine, the CEO of Reconciliation Australia, speaking about that truth-telling, the storytelling, the ability to navigate those very tough issues in a way that brought people together and also brought a bigger discussion about who we are as Australians. You can hear the Adaki behind me, the Garma Festival in its final day, and today really a focus on health, on equity, continuing those big discussions yesterday, and I suspect a lot of reflecting on the life and legacy of Archie Roach.
Dan Bourchier, thank you so much. That's Dan Bourchier there in Arnhem Land at the Garma Festival, and we will be returning